Hello and welcome everybody. My name is Sheila Karailam and I will be your moderator today. This session is scheduled to last for 90 minutes. It will also be recorded and will be made available in the replay section of the event as soon as possible. I would also like to bring to your attention that buildingSMART is committed to ensuring that participation in the development of standards is unrestricted and the process for their adoption is transparent. And standards that are developed do not favour any particular provider and are open, non-binding and accessible to all. Please take note of the antitrust code of conduct, which is up on the screen now. And with that, I will hand over to Daniel.
Hello, thank you, Sheila. Hello, guys. Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here. We have for today the presentation, the 30 presentation of the strategic working group to the new energy domain. So it's a pleasure to be here. The idea for today is to continue with the strategic energy working group to the energy domain, which means we work with generation of energy. So we have oil, coal, natural gas, nuclear energy, and also oil and gas. And also as well, renewable energies. So that's the scope of the energy domain working group. So can you pass, please? Yeah, thank you. So, and we have today Natalia Turns. Yeah, Natalia Turns. Yeah, it's here. She's engineer. She's coordinating the START Foundation, and she's worked with us in the Strategic Energy Working Group. Okay, and also André Luiz Brandão. He's an engineer as well and work with Petrobras, and he's from the START Foundation Brazil, and he's working in the board of our new energy domain. So that is the speaker today to move forward with this presentation, also some activities to engage some stakeholders and also work together after this event. So our agenda, we have obviously the introduction, working group, a collaboration environment, our community, how tangible openBIM is for energy industry, how to engage people, stakeholders, and the roadmap to the next steps of that group. So, Natalia, help me to explain this timeline.
Actually, we started this work before 2020 with your master. I think it's 2015.
Yeah.
When you get approved and start work with refining in Petrobras, right?
Yeah.
But 2020 is our two principles projects. We start with Petrobras, and we start with NEP, is the regulated of oil and gas Brazil, is an agency, and there we have the crazy idea to implement IFC in subsea and the decommissioning.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah. And in 2020, for example, we have this report from the National Agency for Oil and Gas in Brazil. That was part of my career in the academia, and also Petrobras was 10 years ago. They put official the extension of IFC for oil and gas. So we did this first extension in 2015. I got started with my master thesis with support with some people. We did some projects together. We built our team together. And then in 2021, we're scaling up to other areas, no?
Yeah. 2021, we start to interacting with bSDD International in Luxembourg. It was the first time we talked to Leon, I guess, to this project.
About it, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And after that, we start a membership with bSDD International in 2023. In 2024, they went to Rio de Janeiro to a workshop. Is a AP program from buildingSMART, so we have the opportunity to show them our work, and it show to Leon, especially to Leon, the station we start to do with the assets of subsea. So it's an important point here. And in 2024, we have our first kickoff meeting in Marrakesh of the working group. And the official session domain was in Singapore. So we are baby here.
Yeah,
Like
baby
just
steps.
Just 1 year.
Yeah, baby steps. And right now we have the strategic working group located in the University of Barcelona and buildingSMART International, with collaboration with CERT Foundation, because we got started with a group in the CERT Foundation Brazil, doing some projects for Petrobras and also other companies like Technip FMC is another company that we did some work.
Technip, Baker Hughes,
NLV,
some from supply chain from Petrobras.
Yeah, because just to make it clear, the idea is to work with generation of energy, and particularly we got started with oil and gas sector, and in the oil and gas sector, we have we had an approach to work at the supply chain level, which means that we extended IFC. We got started before to refineries, but mainly to subsea systems and also oil and gas platforms. And Petrobras have a lot of suppliers, so we extend IFC in a public project, and then we dealt with some suppliers to apply that extension. And now, for example, in Petrobras, they put in the contracts official for all contracts in the subsea systems, they need to use this extension, specifically extension to do projects. So every single supplier, over 100 suppliers, they need to use that standard. So after that, we got some relationships with Equinor from Norway as well. So about decommissioning and other things, decommissioning, recycling of flexible pipelines, which means circular economy and also decommissioning. Okay, so that's the history so far. We have this track, and the idea is right now is to transform this group as a new domain and have key stakeholders to move forward the subdomains, also have an open and collaborative approach, okay? So everything that we did is open. Everything that we did we're going to share today, and after that event, we have in the GitHub and also Zenodo and bSDD, all information that we did so far. And the idea is to work together, also when it's needed, do some projects to do something to some companies, and then return to the group that's results, as we did so far. For example, in 2020, I did my master thesis, and then we did another extension for oil and gas platforms, and all information is open, and we have the information in the bSDD, and other companies can use that information, adapt, and then return to the group, and also to bSDD, and also to the ISO, that's True, and also the digital contracts. As well, we have this idea and these projects to move forward with these kinds of attitudes, to share information, organize subdomains, work in a real community, okay, to share information, to have some case studies concerning good application, best applications in some companies, and then return to the group officially that's extensions and adaptation to the all community. That's the main idea. So what's the problem we are facing right now in the energy domain, or the energy domain as a whole? you're gonna show up the scope and also the subdomains and everything in the next slides. So André, Natalia, please feel free. We are doing together the presentation, and feel free to talk when you want.
We not came from civil construction. Yeah, so your graduation is civil construction, but we start in oil and gas, and when we look the problem there, we see this pretty much the same what we found on civil construction, right? So data sheets, different formats for all the supply chains, different source. Anyway, so when we look at this, another one, click here. So we look at this. Danielle had this idea. Hi, why not implementing IFC in supply chain, all the supply chain? So this is the schema that for the solution. When we talk to specialists from Petrobras and from the supply chain as well, to modeling the data. And after that, we have this data, extracted data, to and all these tools from BSI, we use that, and we have this common data environment to have this exchange data. So this is the solution that we are drawing right now with Petrobras and Subsea, and we want to extend for the another energy sector.
And just to connect, mainly, just to pinpoint out, we have a problem, a supply chain problem, and some companies think that's okay. I need to do the digital transformation in my company, but for example, multinational companies like Petrobras, Equinor, Saudi Aramco, and so on, they have a lot of suppliers. So our approach was to do an investigation concerning the problem that supply chain are facing right now, to don't have any structure in the contracts, a formal structure to send and receive information from the owner to the supplier and vice versa, and also regulators as well, governments, and so on. So first we figured out this problem at the supply chain level, which means the problem that is not specifically of a company, and the problem is at the supply chain level, that we have these configurations: owners, governments, suppliers, regulators. So how we can connect seamless, how we can have these seamless connections between these actors or these networks at the supply chain levels, at the level, operations and supply chain level. So that is the main problem. Every single company have your standards, or they use the software that they want to use, no problem at all. But when you have in this specific sector a contract, the owner do some obligations in the contract, is normal. They say, okay, I use that software, and you need to use the software that I'm using over here, you know? And that is a problem, because the suppliers or owners or governments, they need to have freedom to decide which software they want to use. Or I don't want to pay a software, I do want to customize my software. And that was our motivation to develop that solution that Natalia told us, you know, to, okay, we have this problem. We extend IFC in the same approach, or in the transition to IFC 5, using linked data, using geometry, no geometry, and also geography information, okay, connected, and surfing, getting other standards, and then do some converters, connectors to this new approach. We did a lot of interviews. No, for example, in the Subsea area, we did interviews with all suppliers. Was very crazy, very intensive in 2020. to, okay, that is the opinion from the owner, and right now we need to see the opinion from the supplier and the regulator. What's your opinion about the structure and also the classes, attributes, and relationships that is mandatory or optional to be included? So we create this extension. Our extension we have in the Zenodo, okay, and some APIs, and these contracts right now, they can use an API, and inside the payload of the API, you can send and receive information in IFC based, okay? And after that, we can use the syntactic interoperability. When the syntactic interoperability is done, we can use these tools, which means that, for example, other CDEs, other solutions, because we have a data structure and inside the contracts. So that was the first approach that we did. And we tried over here to standardize to other companies and also other domain, other kinds of, or subdomain is maybe is better to use, how we can use bSDD, the IDS approach, BCF communication, the validation service to validate the schema, the structure of the schema, just the schema, when we extend or adapt that approach. And doesn't really matter if you are using IFC4. We are moving forward to IFC5, but we can use and extend, and we use in that approach IFC4. Okay. So that's the solution that we are bringing to the group as an example for oil and gas. We apply for oil and gas. We have these very clear, and the idea is to expand to other kinds of industrial plants, like nuclear plants, renewable energies, and other kinds of plants. Here we have, was part of my PhD thesis 10 years ago. We have this structure of framework that we apply.
Still applicable.
I hope so. So we have this framework with the same layer, because people talk, I'm gonna talk something very clear. People talk a lot about ontologies, but forget about syntactic interoperability. So the idea of the framework is first define classes and attributes very clear, and figure out if we have some classes that we can use in IFC, or we need to extend those classes or create a new one, because don't have in the existing, the current IFC schema that classes. For example, we have pipelines or plastic pipelines, but we don't have flexible pipelines for oil and gas. So we need to extend and create the layers of the flexible pipeline and consider in that integration, okay? To be a syntactic interoperability, we need to translate to IFC in this new schema. And then the next step of the model, the semantic interoperability, which means, okay, we have classes and attributes, we have some relationships, but now we can explore, and we can, and in this group you did some converters from IFC to OWL, okay, and ontologies. We use a lot, so we're gonna bring in this event a link to our ontologies and these extensions that we did so far. So we can explore ontologies, because we have a data structure also in the contracts in some areas inside the contracts, like subsea assistance. They have an obligation in the contract. All suppliers of Petrobras, they need to use that extended standard IFC right now. And right now, when we receive information, we can explore ontologies, like this is a pump ontology to a pump, okay? That we can explore to use machine learning, deep learning, or GraphML, GraphDB, whatever, because we have the data organized and also in the digital contracts. So that's the first layer. And then when we have this first layer, we allow, okay, the apps, which means, we need to use a process mining. No problem at all. We can bring digital process over here and get information from these data lake. I don't know, how can I talk? Or no, I need to use my dashboard with Superset or Grafana or whatever you want to use, because we have the data, and we can also Power BI that have compatibility, with IFC as well. We can use over here. Also, in this case, Subsea Systems, a well, and then the oil platform there. In this software we did, and you're gonna present today, a customization of the bonsai or blender bonsai right now, with the geometry, geography, and also no geometric data, and some piece that the supplier sends to the owner, and you need to check, and you need to analyze to. So, okay, that's the technological architecture that we have and use in those projects, and we want to bring and improve, a continuous improvement in our community here. But we want to also, Leon told me a lot of times about it. I think the same. I always thought the same. That is not a standard. If the standard is not popular, and also flexible, but it's not popular to adapt for different domains and technologies, then it's not a standard. Which means, okay, this domain have a lot of, for example, other standards that we use it. I work in some other consortiums, but the software vendors don't use that standard too much, or have 2 or 3 software vendors that have compatibility or compliance with these standards. So in the case of IFC, we have over 3,000 softwares that's import and export for IFC. So it's pretty easy to, okay, we extend IFC, and then my supply chain or our supply chain can decide which software they want to use or are keen to use, you know what I mean? So for me and for us is a very good point. Because other standards that is not so popular nowadays, comparing with IFC, which means, or it doesn't mean that we can use those standards. No, we can use, and also we do some translations. For example, these ontologies came out from another standard, CIFOS and DEXP and other oil and gas consortiums. And also I worked with Fiatec USA, was 10 years ago, I think, 12 years, I don't remember, 2009 until 2015. So we did a lot of ontologies, and we can get these ontologies, do some translations, and use in this IFC extension to be integrated with other standards. But with that standards, we can surfing in this popularity, which means, okay, I have this ontology, but I don't have softwares that I can bring and use in my day life, So that's the reason we adopt, we invest, we work in IFC. No? Any comments? No.
Go ahead.
So, moving forward with the agenda, we have the working group, a collaboration environment. So our idea is to an open community, okay, to share case studies, to share connectors, to share ontologies, to share repositories, why not? And when we need, we can do some projects together and return to that community the results that it's applicable, or the companies allow to do that to our community. And our objectives are, the Energy Domain Framework is a platform for managing knowledge and collaboration, IFC extension for the energy sector. One point here, sometimes you don't need any extension of IFC. It's okay. We can do like enrichments in IFC. It's gonna make it happen. Sometimes it can occur, okay? But mainly for that sectors, we don't have specifically assets or pieces or equipment that's motivate us to extend IFC. Okay, so it provides stakeholder with shared environment to visualize the scope of the extension, provide feedback, and monitor progress. During the section, we'll demonstrate how the framework supports collaboration, transparency, and governance as well. You're going to discuss about the governance as well, and highlights opportunities for new stakeholders to get involved. Working group objective guides the production sector in implementing an openBIM workflow, produce bSDD services entries to define classes and properties required for the energy sector, capture domain requirements for future IFC extension or enrichments, why not? And consolidate requirements for additional rules in the validation service of bSMART. Because in that group, we are working together also with the validation services to guarantee that the schema, it's okay, that we are extending in a good way, in a good shape, in a good, in compliance with the standards. Because the idea also of the domains is to be a door to new extensions to appear in the norm, in the future. So it's another point that we can talk. Also, in this group, we have is a hybrid event. We have a lot of people in other countries right now, and we have, for example, partnership with BDTA and the digital twin norm that we have Tobias from Germany. That is the sharing of this norm, European norm for digital twin, and we are working together as well. We are trying to work together, and we're gonna push this collaboration with digital twins as well. Okay. Just to make clear. So we have this framework, no, guys? Trying to organize the scope of the energy domain because sometimes it's not so clear. So our focus are on the generation of energy, okay? Not other parts of the energy sector. Mainly we have three. No, André?
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more for us about it? Because
it's a classic vision of generation, transmission, and distribution, and we are focused just only generation, because there are other domains that works with another part of the
energy sector.
the energy.
And also we did some separations. Sorry, let's explaining better. We have the life cycle of an asset, okay, of an industrial plant as well, commissioning, basic design, executive design, construction, assemble, decommissioning, operation, maintenance, and inspection. And also, we are trying to move forward circular economy. We have over here the 10 R's of circular economy, because some industrial plants, they are doing right now a massive decommissioning process in a lot of cultures, UK, Brazil, Gulf, Mexican Gulf. A lot of countries are doing decommissioning of the wells of some plants, so we can catch these pieces and then do some recycling or remanufacturing processes, recover sometimes or repair some equipment to resell to another business or reuse sometimes. Depends of the pieces that we have, the equipments that we have in our hands. So that is from the life, the entire life cycle, asset life cycle, to the circular economy approach, moving from oil and gas and carbon industry to energy and renewable, and sustainable and renewable energies. Okay, so from upstream exploration, development, production of energy, could be oil and gas, could be nuclear plants, for example. Downstream, refineries, marketing, distribution, okay, with pipelines to distribute gas or whatever we need to distribute. And the new approach that we have nowadays. Liquefied natural gas, renewables, which means solar panels, aeolic plants, okay, and carbon management to analyze the emissions and these mainly emissions and guarantee a fair transition to a circular economy. Let's talk a little bit more. What do you think? Do you
Yeah.
have some,
Um,
please?
this vision is just a didactic approach, but that is the main point in the working group is to classify, is to correct some vision, is to bring the industry sector from different from oil and gas, just to building this vision. It's just on a representation, but it will be the main one of the main issue in the working group.
Yeah, and also, guys, the idea is to discuss, to establish that group, subdomains, and so on, have some meetings to, okay, sometimes we need to adapt. It's a continuous improvement process,
Yeah.
okay, about the scope. So far, we have this picture, but the idea is to bring other categories or include or exclude something that no makes sense. So that's the idea about the scope of the group. Sorry. And right now we have like a heart for us of the energy working group, strategic working group. Mainly how it's gonna work, how we can or we supposed to work to dealing with that job. We have domain experts. That's a really problem, this bridge between technical experts and also domain experts in interoperability. Is a history. We have a history about it. People that know about the domain but don't know about the technical part, or vice versa. You know what I mean? So the first point or the first part is to integrate technical interoperability experts more than experts. Sorry. When we have more is better. And energy domain experts. So do some meetings, collaborations, digital collaborations, repositories that people that have expertise in the domain. For example, like André. André was, for example, director of a subsidiary of Petrobras, for example, and worked the entire life in Petrobras. Is a classic domain expert, for example. And we are working integrated together. And right now he knows about ontologies and can talk some suggestions to the technical experts. So that is a problem, a huge problem, history problem between technical experts and also interoperability experts and also energy domain experts. For example, I worked with Fiatec and other consortia, and we had some problems concerning people that know about ontology or interoperability and people that don't know about it. And then we expended a lot of time trying to figure out what it is, how we can do the modeling to be assertive, to be precise, and so on. So the first issue that we need to do very well in that group is that integration, okay? So an effective communication, groups, virtual meetings, some events trying to integrate, to engage people to work together, okay, to learn each other. And then we have the heart of the energy domain. The idea is to have two pillars. One pillar is the energy domain international standards, which means in the energy sector, we have standards already. We have standards, DEXP, CIFOS. We have ISO 15926, for example. People did a lot of ontologies around the world, you know. So why not to bring, for example, the BDTA catalog? Why not to do some integrations and work together to do some collaborations and get, for example, one ontologies and use over here, adapt to another sector. So the first pillar is consider the current state of standards and to be integrated or consider that standards to use and extend IFC over here. Okay, is the first pillar. And the second one creates IFC-based ontologies with an interoperable engine that you're gonna present in the next slides. And also we have some, no? Yeah. Some more real interaction here concerning that engine, okay? The GitHub, the collaboration, some connectors that we have, trying to support companies to, okay, I use Aviva, and I would like, please, to translate to IFC in my context. So we have some, for example, my master thesis, I did a translation from Aviva to IFC. So it's open. You can use and you can adapt and then return it, if it's possible, okay, to the community. Because other companies, maybe they need to use that connector, okay? We use these, how can I talk? Environments, like engine, to respect and analyze the current standards, and why not to bring other ontologies, other classifications that people did before, consider that standards to extend IFC properly, or sometimes that is not needed to extend IFC, as I told you a lot of times. We can enrich IFC, and also we need to have a pillar with some engines to do transactions or to generate ontologies, to verify if the extension or enrichment is in compliance with the schema, just the schema. That is not an automated code check over here. The idea is to analyze of the validation service, the schema, okay? To generate the IDS and then connect with bSDD and enjoy over 3,000 software that IFC bring for us to import and export. And you can decide in a freedom way which software do you want to use, or no, I want to customize an open software. Okay, it's up to you. Also, as I told you guys, other international standards and ontology, okay, to use. So that is the main framework of the group. Our idea is to have collaborations here, maintaining meetings and effective communication, provides analysis and also results in that pillar about the international standards, other standards, anytime, and provide some tools and then some projects to push the community to use IFC in that context. That's the mainly framework.
Yeah.
Any
Well, one interesting thing in this part was the goodwill that we received from the market, from the companies, especially Petrobras, national agency, and the suppliers, the three main global suppliers. They engage better than we expected. It was very, very good to improve this collaboration.
And we are talking about, for example, this example about oil and gas. I do some European projects or proposals because we do a lot of proposals, and sometimes it's not successful because it's very difficult. But we are trying to put in that European projects proposals some extensions for buildings, energy in buildings, or sustainable construction as well. So always when we have energy involved, the idea is to put in those projects that extension and standardization process to after the project, after when we got the job done, we have these results to the community. That's the main idea.
You also do the electricity part. You say oil and gas, but you also do electricity from the.
From
It's included in the plan to do also the power domain, the
yeah, electricity as well. Energy
Generation.
efficiency.
Generation.
Generation.
the generation of the.
Yeah.
Yes, because I think this is super interesting, but a little bit related to the last question, you also have a distribution. And I mean, that is almost as big as production.
Mhm.
And like, for instance, in Norway, distribution and transmission is huge, and they have, I think, a little bit different needs than production.
Mhm.
So maybe energy is a big word, but should it be the same group or two different ones?
Well, in the other group that I know, they works with distribution and
Transmission.
in transmission. And our main focus is generation of energy. So every single kind of plant that do some generation is our focus. But it's true that that companies, they need to distribute the energy, petrol, gas, and you need to have this interoperability between the groups, for sure. For sure.
Also, storage, very relevant, battery parks.
For sure. We don't have an example for storage, but for sure that we need to also with generative AI and batteries and this kind of stuff is a main problem that we're gonna face very soon. Yeah, for sure. And the idea is to officialize about your question, officialize day by day, step by step the group, and have integration with other groups. To embed generation, distribution, and transportation of energy. But right now, IFC don't have classes and attributes dedicated to generation. Don't have. We have for oil and gas some examples that we did over here, and the idea is to use that examples to like a methodology and some tools to expand the scope of the domain. So the idea to the steering committee, we have that the idea is to elect from BSI members, policy and decisions on standards development and governance, meet on bi-monthly basis, the general meetings, and obviously we're going to organize some subdomain and put some people to leader some subdomains and move forward that subdomains. Physical meetings and presentation during the summits, okay? And also we are thinking to the technical development, what's the name that Leon did in California this year? I don't remember right now.
Assembly.
Sorry?
Yeah.
General Assembly, to have more practical and because we have a lot of things here, technical, repositories, GitHub. So we need to have these like a hackathon or this kind of collaboration, technical collaboration as well, even more than summits. General Assembler could be something very interesting to work in these technical things. Run virtual industry forums as well. Yeah, that's the mainly points to the steering committee. No, guys, think in at the supply chain level, because the traditional is think about one company, but these kind of companies are multinationals. You know what it is? Because these kind of companies are multinationals and they have a lot of suppliers, owners, regulators, and they operate in a lot of countries. So think about supply chain. And we have this process that's mainly we need to have in using a baby steps approach, to have a UCM and UCM with case studies to organize and extend at the beginning and finalize in a concrete example that you're gonna explain in the next slides as well. Use the community, the repository and the methodology to have the ER approach, the information exchange information requirements approach, and working group agreements. So the idea is to have an IDS that's UCN, and then extend or enrich IFC to following the IDS, validate the schema if it's correct or not, okay? And if yes, go into bSDD and Zenodo. Point. bSDD, the outputs of this process. And Zenodo, the intellectual property, open source, ours, for everybody here. For example, the 5 open codes, we put that in Zenodo and as well in bSDD. So we have details in Zenodo about the extension, the technical work, okay? Zenodo is connected with GitLab, which means we have the picture here, and then the dynamic process inside the GitHub, and then the official output in bSDD. Yeah, please.
Yeah. Maybe I wasn't paying attention, but how do you do the IC to use the linked data approach, which is, yeah, I see some benefits of linked data, but also I have the view that with Leon kind of, okay, I just make my own ontology and you make your own whatever kind of, and then maybe I have solved the problem, but have solved the communication. But what is it linked to a specific instance of an IFC? If you have a new IFC file, you have maybe a different global unique ID, or do you classification or type, or how do you link it together?
Okay. We did so far using the geometry from the softwares, because we don't need to recreate or rebuild the well concerning the geometry. And then we have the node geometry and also geography information extended. And then we have a connector that you're going to bring in that group that embeds everything in the same format. And then we pass through the validation service to guarantee that the schema is correct or not. Right now, we are doing that way. It's like a linked data approach, like this. Getting geometry, for example, Aviva, Hexagon, whatever, the software vendor. We can get the geometry, and then we extend classes and attributes that came out from other softwares, for example, SIP or whatever, you know? And so we connect the global idea, as you told us, with the geometry and also the geography information. And then we embed everything and pass through the validation services. If it's okay, pass through bSDD. Otherwise, we need to improve in a looping to go there.
So you have to do some updating if something is deleted or replaced. You have to make sure that the links are connected to new.
Exactly. Yeah. It's very important. That's the reason we have this process, this looping, and also we have this engine. We have an environment that we're going to provide today in the GitHub with some tools. We have a web page with, for example, Protégé for ontologies, or some tools to do some translations to, you know. And it's very important to have this transparency and also return from the community, you know. If you did some extensions, why not to bring for us, share, and then in the next updates of the norm, be included, why not? Maybe, no?
You have your information requirements in your own ontology already finalized, so that you're now searching for how to implement that in IFC, or?
Yes.
So you know the requirements for each object type of your buildings?
Yes,
already.
Yes. Doing this job over here.
That's already done? Or that's already
For the specific case of subsea assistance, yes. Yeah. And also commissioning, yes.
And maybe the half is just a regular building, got walls, doors, you probably have walls and doors in plans. And how much % is missing in because you're talking about extending IFC because of
Mhm.
missing entities, missing missing properties, like the airport domain has also did. How much?
Good question. I don't know. Why? Because depends on the case, you know. For example, the subsea system, I don't remember how many classes we create and how many classes was not needed to create. In some classes, for example, do you remember, we use an existing classes and the owner said of the company, say the owner company of the supply chain say, I don't like these classes because the name of the class is building and I would like to have oil and gas classes, or I don't know. Is an extra.
If you can fix your tasks that already exist, then you can say, okay, we have 60% is already based on the standard that's already there. And then you can add maybe with writing some ideas, XML files, you can publish it in the bSDD, and then
Why not?
then you create the IFC files. Because in your workflow, you create the IFC file first, but you can also, if you have written your ideas, you can publish it in bSDD before creating the IFC.
Yeah, we can.
Then
But
it's easier to create the IFC.
For sure. Exactly. It's possible, but we need to, as he told us, we need to validate the schema. And we have in this node that information, but I need to check for you how many classes we create or how many classes you just use it. No. We have this information here in Excel tables. We put there. And we can share, no? We can take in notes and share those informations.
Just with the comment you're saying is like we need the prior to IFC creation is we have this kind of a standard that we can follow in created IFC. Is that what? Before created IFC, we have a standard that we can actually use or refer to.
Yeah.
That's your comment?
I did it in the Netherlands with the object type space objects. The different spatial objects in the Netherlands. We first designing the object types with the properties involved in the XML, published in bSDD, and then with a connector you can connect to your modeling software and add the properties in a very easy way. So maybe that's an idea to.
Maybe. Go ahead. Sorry.
You're talking about making the actual IFCs for use in projects, and I think this schema is, well, maybe I'm misunderstanding, just like a first draft to check if the extensions that are made still meet the IFC schema. So that would be a one-time loop before you publish to the bSDD.
Exactly.
You're going to take it into actual projects.
But in the validation service, they don't check the extra properties from bSDD. They only check
the schema.
Basic, so you don't need the extra attentions for the validation. So that's what I think.
But I think just a question for you. Your mainly area is for buildings, or you work with buildings or infrastructure or something like this, no? It's a question, I don't know. Buildings. Buildings, we have a lot of classes and attributes that you don't need to extend or sometimes to, so was validated so far. Yes? In that case, we have a lot of classes, for example, flexible pipelines, or what's the other that we're going to present today? I forgot the name.
Ancillaries, accessories.
Rigid pipeline, rigid pipeline.
Which means strange equipment that IFC never seen, you know?
And complex. It's very different from civil construction.
So we need to do the modeling before and then validate if these extensions are in a good shape or not. I think that in your case, you have a lot of classes that you can just use or was validated before. And in that case, why not to go direct to bSDD? No problem at all, in my opinion.
And what is it like custom property sets and custom properties that add to further define classes, types, or what is it exactly that you add to the IFC before you validate it?
For example, I think that's the next slide. Good question. Thank you. We pass, for example, flexible pipelines. In IFC, in the current IFC, don't have flexible pipelines. is a pipeline with a lot of layers that go deep inside the seer, 2,000 meters, 3,000 meters inside the seer. So have a lot of layers, different materials embedded in a same pipeline. That is not a usual pipeline. So we need to do that job. One moment. To do interviews with energy domain experts, what it is, how we can apply that pipeline inside the SIA, how it works to do the modeling and check and validate with the experts and try again until build the new classes and geometry of, for example.
So if I understand correctly, like you would have IFC wall with properties set common for wall. You're gonna build that from scratch for the flexible pipeline.
Mm-hmm. Like this is a flexible pipeline. Mm-hmm.
And then you publish it to the bSDD.
Mm-hmm.
Is it then the goal to down the line include it as just standard IFC classes and standardized
Exactly.
sets, or, okay.
And you can choose the software that you want to use in a popular way. One moment. Over 3,000 to catch this extension and use in your own software.
Yeah.
For example, Bonsai.
Sort of like a temporary work in progress solution.
Exactly. Exactly. And we use this temporary approach until we have the door here, open the door to extend the ISO as well. That is the idea of the group as well, to have representativity first for that open community. And then when we have maturity, using a lot, for example, that standards, we have over 1,000 viewers and over 500 downloads, and Petrobras puts as an obligation in the contracts, all contracts. So now we are using.
The supply chain have to use IFC to send the project to Petrobras right now. He has done a new contract. He's an next contract.
Mm-hmm. And then when we have maturity, okay, let's go through the ISO. Now we have maturity and representativity to officialize, okay, we can have a new section of the ISO and then guarantee that the companies involved, for example, that suppliers, they work, Hassan, with Saudi Aramco, with...
Yeah, I was going to say, the funny thing with oil and gas, you look down deep, they have standards. They have all the data. So the way I'm thinking about when I compare it to building and civil work, even though it's a totally different world, is that a lot of the information is structured. It's just structured in such a way that sometimes not even shareable. I was engaged in a project. I was sharing the information yesterday in a very almost a mega project, like $15 billion project, 12 contractor. In the middle of the project, they realized the tagging system was different. And they had to re-tag a lot of items because somebody forgot to share a link to the SharePoint where it has what they're supposed to follow in terms of the standard. And I think when I look at, I think we're in the step of like, okay, let's agree on the classes. That's number one, because I think every oil and gas company think their own system is like, working, and they are I think they are open to adopt these. I mean, your success so far explain that, and a project is like, how can we take it like the bSDD? It's a temporary, but honestly, I think in this industry there's so many property and so many things is changing that might not make it a temporary. It's actually could be a very controlled kind of a thing where people are contributing to it as they go until at some point maybe I think the standardization will happen if it's not kind of already happening behind the scene. But it's so hard for all the suppliers to actually get access to the information that they, I don't know, are people making money out of these change orders that they have? And I witnessed myself delays after delays after delays. And with my question, turnaround project. Do you foresee like turnaround projects as a way of thinking of how your approach might actually help in turnaround, which usually are very costly. Everybody plans for like 2 years ahead. Any luck with that? Any maybe also your experience in turnaround project? Is it, because I'm just trying to think of how it can be used for that, because there is a lot of value there, and they could maybe be a quick win.
Yeah, actually, we did some valuation from this project.
Yeah.
Okay, please.
Yes, because we're talking about the project. So every time we don't have a delay, like if we reduce 30 days to 10 days, we have a lot of money in oil gas.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we are talking in terms of a fleet of special boats, special vessels that costs us $300 a day, $1,000 a day, and each second costs a lot, and sometimes we have some non-productive time because documents. And it's very important because it's a kind of an industry that we can analyze, not just in oil industry, but in nuclear and other, the risk and impact ratio. And this industry is extremely regulated because it is, because there are some implications in terms of assurance, in terms of image, damage, and society, etc., etc. And that's why IFC can guarantee the data and the process more quick and self compliance confident.
But about your question about the turnaround, just to respond very quickly, we did this job at the beginning. It was difficult. Everybody say no, IFC is for buildings, doesn't work. Okay,
Yeah.
We have our standards, to be very clear with you guys. And then we did the job, and the idea is to make it simple, because it's simple. We have more complications about the social change management,
Yeah.
than the simple process to do the extension, because we did for 2 or 3 for refineries, oil and gas platform commissioning, and the subsea system. Okay.
Yeah.
And now I have a student. I'm a professor of the University of Barcelona. With Equinor, we are doing an extension for decommissioning with Equinor. Okay. And right now we have a methodology to do that, and we think that's the best way to do is to make it simple, because it's simple. From me, the worst problem is change management. People think that we have standards in my domain, or no, it's so complicated because blah blah. For me, that's the
we had to convince everybody, included supply chains as well.
Yeah.
So we did a pilot with Technip. In this pilot, we can see how easy and quick the project begin.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because the return was amazing. We can talk, but the return, we did something simple, and then the return was billions. I can talk just it.
And in this case, that Natalia told us, Technip FMC, they did the evaluation. That was an interesting thing. It was not our team. They did, and they could estimate in practical how much money they can save.
And they did before the obligation. That's something important. Now is an obligation, so they will gonna do that
years before the obligation.
Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. So, but I guess sort of what we're talking about is in oil and gas, it's an alternative to Consolidate. Because I remember looking a little bit at that many years ago, and it looked really complex. But I guess so. The idea is that this, due to being more simple, would be better than Consolidate.
Sorry.
So the
Sorry.
you mean in terms of standard or tool?
Yeah.
So I mean, this is, I think reference to what you said yesterday about the CFI or just and the others. So they do have standard. It's just, the final part that they kind of like, and this is just my assessment, I could be wrong. You look at what IFC have done to the civil non-oil and gas, and there is so many tools available, so many things, just because the industry needs it in many, many areas. And thanks to buildingSMART to make it like, why? Now you look at oil and gas, they still far back, not from a standard, not from a process, from tools.
Mhm.
And this is the interesting part. So when we introduce this tools, maybe it seems for people like, building others, come on, we've done this before. Look at oil and gas. The oil and gas, I think adopting this is the challenge. If that makes sense.
Mhm. Yeah, I totally agree. And they have already, as Hassan said, standards. But is a standard if it's popular? If it's not popular, then not a standard, So that is the problem that I saw in that context, I worked for Petrobras for 11 years before the academia. And I worked these 11 years with these groups, CIFOS, FIATEC in USA, and other groups. And they don't have a lot of software vendors, so why not to use IFC and integrate IFC with other standards to surfing in that capability of IFC? What's the best capability of IFC, in my opinion, our opinion? Popularity. They have over 3,000 softwares to use, to import, export, I use SAP HANA, SAP HANA. They have compliance with IFC. Okay. Power BI, they have some approach and some publications to IFC, you know what I mean? So that was but they have already other standards. And we are keen, as Hassan said, for example, CIFOS and other standards to take into account and integrate those standards to don't forget the legacy, because we have in this sector a lot of years work on it. But the standards so far, they don't have popularity in software vendors. I don't know why. Doesn't really matter. It's a fact, but that's the idea, to use IFC and bust IFC to surfing this popularity. Yeah.
With this intention, we can say they don't know. With a little bit more realistic intention, they don't want to know.
Yes. So guys, just to move forward, because we have maybe 20 minutes, like this, let's move more quickly. And then the idea is to engage stakeholders to continuing meetings and until the next summit, and also work together in that group, okay? I'm leading this group. We have Natalia, Andrea, and other people working together in that group. So we are keen to work together to have more examples, applications, publications, whatever. So, Natalia, can we depend to
We're gonna try. Sheila can help me
to teach together this part?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because we have some instructions in that presentation. We shared with Sheila before and buildingSMART, so I think that's you're gonna have access in that presentation. No, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's the real life.
That's the real life. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Sorry. The real life. So be patient with me. The idea here is to see the game of this ontology, because here, when I'm not a technical person, but when Danielle talk about ontologies and semantics, it was, oh my God, what is that? And how can we see the game here? How can we see the value here? So first of all, we start to ontology here, and we're going to presentation an example here. So everything you had is the asset that we're modeling starting to subsea. And the equipments like, for example, subsea. Yep. So we have all this equipments specification here as well, and we have subsea rigid pipeline and flexible pipeline. So everything here is on bSDD, and all these properties
Was
as
validated in the
well.
validation services?
Yeah, and we have the structure here, and in bSDD we have as well. Like, let me see, an oil gas flexible pipeline. So this is the classes, like you asked before, right, Daniel?
Yeah.
Like how many classes and properties we have. So we put,
It's already there. I knew that it was already here.
yeah, it's already here. And properties, a lot of properties. So this specification with the specialists. So a lot of interviews, a lot of trying to understand with engineers and etc. And this is results, and the endo we have here as well. So if you can, and we have the GitHub as well here, explain everything what we do in the energy domain ontology.
Because Natalia did a presentation of the ontology, that is the output of the syntactic interoperability. If you remember, the technological framework is the second step. First, define the syntactic interoperability with classes and attributes and relationships, and then allow to use or to do the semantic interoperability. So she did a presentation in the Protégé.
Protégé
Protégé
is the framework.
Huh?
Yeah, it's the framework. It's the tool we use because it's the simple one.
Yeah.
And everybody can have access to this.
To web. Is a web Protégé, for example.
Protégé,
so it's simple to have
like
access.
It's not my computer. It's from Sheila. And I access
That is
here.
not a joke.
Yeah. No, it's not a joke.
Okay. And we have this web page of the domain that you're gonna share with you guys.
Yeah, so you can see and you can collaborate it as well.
Natalia, can you pass through the entire web page? For me,
of course.
I think that's very useful. We have this web page. We have the link of our domain and subdomains and so on. Okay. So just a quick overview. Our standards and formats that we use, for example, to validate the IDS and ontologies, for example, the integration and interoperability with other global standards like ISO 15926 and CIFOS, as you talked, Hassan. Go down, please. Our scope and domain coverage, conceptual design, basic design, detailed executive design, procurement, installation, and so on. Okay. And the subdomains that we need to define persons to push the leadership in that subdomains and work together to other contexts. For example, oil and gas, we have upstream, downstream, and subsea. And renewable energy, we need to define solar companies, wind companies, hydropower companies, and so on. Nuclear plants as well, and other disciplines that people from the domain experts, for example, Andre and I, we worked with equipment pipelines, so we are experts in pipelines and equipments and so on. So we need to have these persons here that have knowledge in the domain. Yeah. That knows how we can explore a well or how works a flexible pipeline and so on.
Merry Christmas tree.
We have over here that you're going to share the ontology modeling strategy, with the link of the Protégé, which means all ontologies that we had access or we integrate or we did in that extension, you're going to stay here. It's going to be here. Some guidelines about semantic web and linked data. I think that was one question here. Best practices, and obviously consistency. for example, we are doing with Everson. That is my master student in that case. We are doing an automated code checking using ontology, okay, to verify the digital contract of Petrobras. That is a public contract, okay. If the geometries and also no geometric data, they are respecting the contracts automatically. Use the ontology and GraphML, GraphDB, and this kind of approach. We are doing this kind of checks even more than the validation service. That the validation service is useful just for the schema, to validate the schema, okay? But when we have ontology, we can use machine learning, deep learning, and in this case, we are creating rules to verify if the digital contracts are respecting or not by the suppliers. The core ontology, data validation, sub-ontology. So we have some schemas and SHACL. So far I don't know to talk SHACL. That's the language of the ontologies, okay?
SHACL here.
SHACL, yeah. And Turtle, that is another language that we use also generative AI a lot to adapt and to transform the data and generate the Turtle format to bring to the protégé, Also, IFC JSON we use a lot to make it simple to the suppliers, to the experts. And we have over here the link to the GitHub. The Zenodo we need to update over here. All links you're gonna put here very soon. All open codes. And also our repository in the WU3ID.org. And the idea is I talked with Edward to do some collaboration with the BDTA catalog. I'm going to talk with Bran, and BDTA is another NGNO, Building Digital Twin Association, to have a seamless integration between the BDTA catalog and the Energy Working Group.
You have sample IFC models also published. Do you have sample IFC models?
Mm-hmm. And you're gonna present now, no? Because we don't have a lot of time. So go down. We have two examples because sometimes you talk too much, a lot of things in 1 hour and a half, and it's good to show up some examples. So we have here the bSDD, okay, and which means the companies don't provide details of the catalog, We have the standard here, the extension, but the company, they have already their catalogs, which means, for example, we have an extension here, but for example, an oil and gas company, I'm going to talk a hypothesis. For example, Saudi Aramco, they have their catalog, and they can use bSDD to connect with their existing softwares, and then connect with their catalog as well, because are details of their assets, okay? And sometimes that is not open, is private, and a lot of times, to be honest. So we have this connection here, some documentation. The idea is to have a main page to have collaboration. All links here, contacts, and create this open community. That's our goals, okay? And do some projects and do some things, and then return to the community, to other companies, use and adapt whatever they want to do. Natalia, let's move to the sample.
Yeah, I have to go back to the presentation.
Yeah.
But it's important to say that our team are mediators. All the collaboration is not something that we're going to publicate it and is visible for everyone. We have to accept this collaboration, right?
And right now we have 1 or 2 rooms in Petrobras, in Brazil.
2 rooms.
2 rooms. Have people there. Thank you so much, guys.
Is the next one?
Yeah. Inside the company, they are.
Oh, then
Yeah.
Oh, wow. For you.
No,
Come on. So maybe the video is so much
No,
better to
yeah,
explain.
Actually, is the another one here.
Yeah, because we did a presentation about the ontology inside the protégé in our real words. We didn't use the video. And right now we have the example to respond to your question.
Yeah.
A concrete case using that standards and also connecting automatically with bSDD.
bSDD, yeah.
Take a look here. Carlos Diaz, that worked with us in the energy domain. He did this job with us and did some customizations in the bonsai software. One of the over 3,000 software that you can use and choose to use that extension. So we have the subclasses here, classes, properties, and everything. Getting from bSDD. The type of equipments we have over here. What's happening?
One moment, sorry.
I think it stopped. Oh, okay.
And now it works. Get class information. So you can get automatically the information of the classes.
It's the same in bSDD.
Information.
So, good, yeah.
Getting property from bSDD, the same. You're going to select which kind of equipment or classes do you want to get information.
Stop bend Stephen, right?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Assemble torque. And right now, we have the pipe fitting and pipe segment, which means the segment and fitting of the piping. We got from bSDD, visualize or whatever you want. In this case, is a bonsai, a modeling software, open software, that we really like this software and work it very well with this kind of companies. Those companies, they use sometimes other softwares, not open softwares, but work it very well with bonsai. So
there is it.
And this equipment is applied for?
Yeah, for connect the
flexible type
flexible
pipelines
with the platform.
After he gonna show.
From the well to the oil and gas platform, the connections between the flexible pipelines, no?
Yeah.
Here's the flexible pipeline there.
Yeah.
Connected with the
connector,
stifter, yeah.
And then the flexible pipeline, the pipe segments. That is a pipe fitting. And then the pipe segments, that is the tube. The properties?
The property and the charts, the properties, but we have the chart. He's going to show.
And to generate that properties, we need to use a lot other software to calculate, to, you just output from the design. The crush curve, no?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a traditional curve that they do nowadays manually. And then right now you can use like a bonsai and then generate automatically this stiffness curve, no? Stiffness, no?
Bend stiff.
Bend stiffness curve.
Top bend stiff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a simulation. It's
That's
just
calculated based on the
The
output
property.
that you imported from other calculations.
Yes,
Exactly.
exactly. Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
Is a traditional document. They do a lot of work to generate that document, and that's graphed, you know. And right now we did this example using the 3D model and then generate automatically the that graph. Okay.
We have 3 minutes.
Yeah. One more. No. So very quick right now. We have this steering committee that we need to define and tailor that subdomains and leadership for every single subdomain. Responsibility to approve standards and oversee the roadmap. Technical working groups based on the industry and subdomains, oil and gas, subsea, wind farms, solar panels, whatever. The processes and also technicalities, sorry. So we thought to work together in a technical branch, in a process branch, and also domain experts branch, okay? Also, to have a consensus-based approval of standard proposals. So organize this door, this room, and then clarify that process until have extensions and updates in the ISO and the norms. Also, we thought to use or to extend as well the norm for digital twins, because even more than the IFC, we have other norms that explore IFC inside digital twins. So we are thinking to dealing with this situation. And escalation to bSDD standard committee for unresolved issues. For example, other domains that they are dealing with other transportation, distribution. Let's talk together. Let's define who will gonna proceed with this issue or the situation, whatever we gonna face. Come on. Internal support. We are doing this leadership right now from the University of Barcelona with bSDD International and Search Foundation. That is the first examples. They are working together as well to gonna make happen this working group. Which means define goals and milestone and have a dashboard to have accountability and also very clear our goals to have the other subdomains and also collaborations and approvals and so on. Liaisons, BSI Standard Committee, BSI Technical Solutions and Product Teams, and other domains as well, connections with other domains. External partners, standard bodies, for example, the norm for digital twin, that's Eduard's leader right now. I'm keeping in mind these needs for collaboration and integration, industry groups and research groups as well. Okay. And stakeholder engagement, quarterly industry briefing on needs, quarterly working group briefing on progress, and biannual reports in the summits about the progressing, the outcomes, and so on. Knowledge sharing, open source repository, all of the outcomes are open source. Case studies libraries with UCM and showcasing successful energy projects. Workshops, webinar, and events. Our idea is to do some workshops, webinar, and events. For example, we're going to have in the University of Barcelona in April, after the summit in Porto, 1 week after. Aidan will be there, no, as a keynote speaker. The idea is to have another workshop to discuss technicalities and also processes there in Barcelona, and other workshops and webinar when it's needed, and to have a review and adaptation, annual review of the domain chapter to incorporate feedback from stakeholders, dynamic KPIs, adjustments based on involving industry needs, and working group clustering and reorganization. Because sometimes we have this scope, but it's missing one part or another that we need to improve. And the idea is to have a continuous improvement. So do you want to talk about it? Because
just forms to engage the companies and the public.
I can support it.
Participation. There are
I can nominate
5 forms that we could think about to engage. it's not just companies, but all associations, all interested to contribute to participate. The idea is a group open to contributions.
Yeah, and mainly just to pinpoint out participation as a domain expert, getting more people involved, development of interoperable and collaborative projects, okay, to explore, to tailor add some subdomains or connectors or whatever we need to have. And for example, with some companies that they need to extend and apply that approach, we can do that project and return to the community as an open source to other companies to use, as I told you guys a lot of times, once again. Research fellowships as well, why not? To have, for example, PhD students and master students using the academia to boost that group is, we are keeping in mind that approach as well. Development of models and tools, collaboration as early adopters, like alpha tests and beta tests after publishing, as we talked in the flow, in the bSDD. And volunteering and capacity building, mentoring, documentation translation, and workshops as well. So we are keen to have more people volunteering to grow the capacity of the group to move forward the coverage of the strategic working group. So just to get the job done, we have the summit in Berlin, the work group presentation. The idea was to present, we did a presentation of a collaboration environment that is the most important, an open community to do something together, return to the community, and everybody can have win-win. For example, companies, we can do projects and then do something like an extension and return to the community, or not, or do some academic collaborations or publications, or wherever we need to move forward the group. Gathering stakeholder is very important. Also, domain experts and interoperability experts as well. After that, we have a 1-2 months for every single bar.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the main idea. Official deals to join the strategic working group, which means talk with some companies. For example, I talked with Hassan yesterday and trying to get other companies and other, he's from Saudi Arabia, and other companies there to be involved, to be engaged in that group. Define some meetings about the steering committee, define the steering committee, define the governance of the group by consensus, discuss in the next step, the technical working group discusses on subdomains, process, and technicalities for every single subdomain. And then in the next section, present the evolution of these tasks, and then trying to have more outcomes and other updates in our GitHub, documentation, tools, and other things to move forward that group. And after Porto, we're going to have the FPI Congress in the University of Barcelona. And the idea is also to explore with an academical congress, some workshops, hackathons about exploring this GitHub, these tools in this kind of events as well. Even more than the summits, more technical events to move forward and using the students, professors, and other academics as well to work together, even more the industry that we are trying to be involved.
Yeah.
So guys, many thanks. Any question, we are free to respond, and thank you so much. Thank you, guys.